Another excellent series between two of the big three has ended, and despite what most people think, I think the series was actually quite contested at times. Obviously, it was dominated by Australia, but England did have a couple of bright moments here and there. Obviously, they should take these moments with a grain of salt and shouldn't think of the series as an overall morally good victory for them. There are some overhauls that both teams need to make, but we'll talk about that later. First, let's talk about the individuals who made the series great. Travis Head was easily the best batsman in this year's Ashes, scoring 629 runs in 10 innings at an average of almost 63 and a massive strike rate of 87.4. One of his career-defining series, and he's made so many ripples in cricket in this decade. For a series that has been criticized for their non-batting friendly pitches, scoring that much and at that strike rate is crazy. Obviously, in all of these matches, the pitches got better for the batsmen as the match continued, or at least for most of them. But England batted in the fourth innings a bit, and they struggled way more than Travis Head did in the third. Head was simply fantastic and had so much impact for Australia, whose only other good batter was Alex Carey. Speaking of Alex Carey, this guy has been so good since that Bairstow stumping in 2023. Since then, he's averaged close to 41, scoring 1330 runs, and has been Australia's perfect keeper. In this series, he took 28 dismissals with 27 catches and 1 stumping. An insane record for him, and he's probably already solidified himself as one of the best test keepers in this generation. Next up is Joe Root and Harry Brook. Joe Root scored his first 200s in Australia and was England's best batter, scoring 400 runs in 10 innings, averaging 44. Not too shabby, but all he could have improved on was consistency. Other than that, he was great. He could have helped England a lot more by guiding some of the younger batters, but sometimes there's only so much you can do. Harry Brook's only problem is that he never plays sensibly. All of his dismissals have come from quite literally just throwing his wicket away. He could have easily gone on to score a couple of hundreds this series. He scored 350 runs, averaging 39.8 at an impressive strike rate of 81.7. In most of his innings, he looked fairly comfortable, building a partnership with either Root or Smith after the top order failed to deliver, but he would usually just throw his wicket away after a break. My suggestion for him is to not lose track of the game and to defend even if you think you can hit it, especially on pitches and in situations like these. Now onto the bowlers, or should I really say all-rounders, because Mitchell Starc had an amazing Ashes. 2025 was probably his best year in Test cricket since 2019 or 2017, or maybe even it's just the best in his whole career. I already talked about his 2025 stats 2 weeks ago, but his Ashes stats were insane. In his first 3 matches, he took 22 wickets, averaging around 16. While he did lose steam in his last 2 games, with his average going up to 19, Australia had already sealed the series by then. Other than his bowling, he played crucial innings, building a partnership with Carey and Lyon to take Australia to 371 runs in the Adelaide Test, and top scoring in the second innings at the Gabba. Not only that, but he averaged more than all of the batters except for Carey, Bethel, Root, Head, Brook, Crawley, Smith, and Labuschagne. All this to say is that he's my player of the series. He also overshadowed Scott Boland, who also had a pretty good series, with 20 wickets averaging 25 in 10 innings. Not much to say about Boland. Clearly supported Starc well and did what he could. In my video following the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy, I talked about how Josh Tongue should be playing most of the Ashes matches and is the future fast bowling prospect for England. England, however, didn't believe that or didn't watch my video. Of course, they didn't watch my video. But in the Ashes, he played 6 innings, taking 18 wickets, averaging 20 and striking at 32. All this without help from most of the other bowlers is pretty impressive. He's a pretty smart bowler and knows how to use angles well, so I think he should be considered in T20 cricket as well, and he should be playing a lot more tests. And finally, Michael Neser is my last player I want to spotlight. He did really well when Starc was losing steam, and even when Boland was kind of not at his best, and he really just put in a lot of effort, and it's his debut, so he gets a pretty deserving shout out. Now let's talk about England and their future in the format, and what they should do. Clearly, the series wasn't that bad for them. They won the Boxing Day Test and got 2 great youngsters in the squad, being Josh Tongue and Jacob Bethel. The series also kind of acted as a confirmation for Bazball not being the best tactic for the team, and it also kind of confirmed that they need better bowlers. They did kind of learn from their mistakes with Scott Boland, but they still don't know how to play Mitchell Starc, nor did they know how to play Michael Neser. Their bowling was solid, but they let partnerships build up too frequently, and even though Australia kind of did the same with their bowling, Brooke or Smith's wall swinging would usually give them a breakthrough, and they usually get the team all out pretty quickly. It's one thing to play aggressively, but it's another thing to throw your wicket away while your team is still in a relatively vulnerable position. It may come down to focus, or it may come down to Baz's or Stokes' plan for the team. They should let players focus on their natural game, like letting Crawley play like a normal test innings, not forcing him to attack when Duckett gets out, which is what I've felt for most of his career. That's what I feel like they're doing, but he still has those good innings where he does attack. Stokes is also in a similar position. While he might have always seemed like a blazing attacking hitter, that's not really been his game. Sure, when it is his day, he could probably play a blazing innings, but during his best years, 2016, 2017, 2019, and 2020, he clearly strikes around the mid 50s to low 60s while averaging well into the 40s. However, since 2022 until mid 2025, his strike rate was a little higher, around the mid 60s to low 70s, but his average was far lower, indicating either dwindling ability to stay in or that Baz's way just doesn't fit him. However, in 2025, it was clearly his worst year for England. It's one thing to play according to what the team plans and lower your average, but it's another to defend and not play according to the team's plans and still lower your average. Of all the batters who scored runs in the series, he had the lowest strike rate, being 36.6. His average was absolutely terrible, being 18.4, but he did have some solid saves, like in the test in the Adelaide Oval and in the Gabba. I'm not sure what exactly Stokes could turn to right now, but I think he should go back to playing at his normal rate of striking at mid-50s, and his team should also learn how to play a bit more carefully. Obviously, his average was quite low, but that could also be due to Brooke and Smith not playing super carefully. It could be due to Duckett always edging the ball to the slips for some reason. It could be due to Crawley not knowing how to play a swinging ball. I think Crawley's best fit for 3, honestly. I think Bethel's a really good number 3, but Crawley's best for 3. Again, the pitches that Stokes played on since 2022 were also a little flatter compared to 2017, 2019, and 2020. They were still flat, but compared to those years, these 2022 pitches were way flatter. That's why I excluded the Ashes from my analysis of 2022 to 2025, because the pitches in the Ashes were way, way, way worse than the pitches worse for batters, were way, way worse than the pitches that England usually prepares, or the pitches that India usually prepares. India's pitches were really good. Well, really good for batters, except for I think the Ranchi pitch was not that great, and I'm struggling to remember. It was 2 years ago now, but yeah. Other than that, they didn't play many overseas matches, so most of their pitches were really flat. If Brooke and Smith can lower their strike rate to the mid 70s, or also not just throw away their wicket at every chance they get, the batting could be a lot better. These guys clearly have potential, but they never use it. The bowlers also do have to improve. It's just a little better than the batting. They might seem solid after the series in Australia, but again, the pitches were very bowling oriented. Josh Tongue was excellent, Stokes was solid, and Jofra was pretty good as well. Kars wasn't that good, but I think he can be improved. Just he has to return to first class cricket a bit. But that also just might be by bias speaking, because I like him a lot. Gus Atkinson is really good, and he should probably be their third pacer before Stokes, because Stokes is their fourth pacer right now. But they probably need one more pacer as well. For the spin, they have 2 part-timers in Jacob Bethel and Joe Root, who are honestly pretty good part-timers. So really only one mainline spinner is needed, because everyone else is pretty good. Liam Dawson is a pretty good one, but he is on the older side. He averages 31 in first class cricket, which isn't too bad, but Jack Leach should obviously be coming back into the team for at least a little bit until Tom Hartley or Shoaib Bashir mature as spinners. Rehan Ahmed is another good option who also provides batting depth, which is something that does fit their team plan. Their fourth pacer slot should probably be another medium bowler, preferably someone who can bat as well. George Hill is interesting. He's 24 years old, and he's scored a good amount of runs in first-class cricket. He only averages 30 with the bat, though, but the other appeal is his bowling. He averages 22 and has taken 130 wickets in 92 innings. Edward Bernard is 30 years old, but he's also not a bad pick to replace Ben Stokes right now. He isn't amazing, but he is solid. And obviously, Ollie Robinson is an excellent pick. He obviously can't bat compared to the other two, but he can definitely bowl. In first class cricket, he's taken 474 wickets in 201 matches, averaging 21.6 and striking at 44. That's absolutely insane. So clearly they do have some good options, but they really just need to get their game plan down to a solid, sensible game plan. It's still a transition phase. They just don't have that good of a mentality in their team. They have 6 games coming up this year. New Zealand, Pakistan, and those 2 teams are also touring England, which is pretty good. Against New Zealand, they can definitely build a solid pace attack and batting lineup. Considering how good New Zealand pacers can be in England, Jacob Duffy gets really good swing in England. Matt Henry would probably get really good swing as well. England's pace attack will be tested against the likes of Tom Latham, Devon Conway, who both love blocking, and will be tested against Ravindra's aggressive style, which would probably work well in England. Their spin can also be tested against Pakistan, whose batters would feel uncomfortable against the kind of spin that England has in their arsenal right now. So you have some pretty good ways to experiment. And obviously you're not going to make it to the finals this time. With this team that's coming up right now, it looks like they can make it to the finals if they focus solely on maturing these current youngsters. Now let's talk about Australia. They obviously have a really good team. Their pace is solid, their spin is mostly locked in, it's really just their batting that needs something. Alex Carey and Bo Webster and Travis Head are easily going to play for the next cycle, or at least until the Ashes 2027, while everyone else's position is still in jeopardy. But if you look at Shield, there's every single batter there who is actually playing has already been tried and hasn't worked well. Weatherald was kind of terrible in the Ashes. Matt Renshaw played 14 matches and averaged less than 30. Hanscom played a lot of matches but didn't stick in the long run. Bancroft, he had that one issue that they probably don't want to talk about ever again. Obviously, Smith and Marnus can still play until Ashes 2025, but even then you only have 5 batters, 2 of which aren't that useful. So let's look at some other interesting ones. Constas, pretty interesting. He succeeded against India and against peak Jasprit Bumrah, by the way, but he was terrible against the weaker West Indies bowling lineup. He scored some runs in the Shield, scoring 392 runs in 12 innings, averaging 33 and striking at 60 at the time of writing this, but obviously that isn't that impressive. I still suggest bringing in Matt Renshaw, considering that he's had that impressive Shield with 425 runs in 6 innings, averaging 71 with 300s. I guess you do also have someone like Darren Lehman's son, Jake Lehman, who averaged 43 and struck at 71 in the Shield, and even Nikhil Chowdhury has been pretty good. He also does have that aspect of bowling spin. He also did take that fifer, I think. I don't remember against who it was, but he did take that fifer. They do have a lot of potential here. Weatherald, probably shouldn't give up on him super quickly. I think he does have the potential to score a bit of runs. I think he did hit a 50 in the Ashes, so he wasn't terrible. Definitely better than Stokes, but he wasn't terrible. They also can't really give up on Cam Green, but he's just not had the best time as of recently. Obviously, in his debut, he was pretty good, but right now, he's just not having the best time. He should definitely work on his skills against the short ball and his variety of shots. He clearly has potential. I mean, he could come in and save the game a lot of the time, but if you aren't consistent, you're going to get the axe. He also can improve his bowling by focusing on supporting Stark, Nesser, or Boland, whoever's bowling, instead of just trying to take wickets. He should also keep it tight and just, bowl straighter lines. Obviously, even with all these problems, Australia are still one of the better teams in the World Test Championship. There aren't really any other matches for them coming up soon, like England has. I think they're the only team, other than New Zealand and Pakistan, with matches that are coming up soon. So there's no immediate cause for concern. And that's it for today. I'll see you all next week.